Hi, this is Alan from Alpus Group, and I'm going to talk to you today about key factor number 9 in the 20 key factors for project success, and that is the contracting strategy. So we've already established we recommend these 20 key factors are addressed to ensure project success. If you get them all right, then you'll have a successful project. If you get one or two of them wrong, then it will have an impact somewhere along the way, probably. So what are these 20 key factors to ensure project success? Number 1, a clear and concise project brief. Number 2, risk assessment and contingency. Number 3, funding. Number 4, that the site is available and accessible. Number 5, statutory permissions are in place. That's usually planning permission and building control, but there can be other things as well, such as listed building consent and other acts of parliament in the case of infrastructure projects. Agreements for special protective measures and party wall agreements. Protection of utilities. Enabling advanced works. Appropriate contracting strategy, and then designs are fully coordinated, available and buildable. Number 11, quality assurance and control measures. Number 12, building information management and modelling. Number 13, contracts and collaboration. Number 14, health and safety. Number 15, stakeholder management. Number 16, communications and protocols. Number 17, progress reports against master program, time schedule and budget. Then progress meetings, interfaces and interface management, and finally leadership, a culture of decision making and problem resolution. So key factor number 1, we already went through this, a clear and concise project brief. There must be a scope of works defined, that the fundamental design parameters and the employer's or owner's requirements, such as the budget cost, the program time schedule, any specific operational performance requirements and quality requirements. The project or program brief should reflect the vision of the sponsor of the project or program about what they want out of this project. Key factor number 2, risk assessment and contingency. So what we try to do as early as possible is carry out a risk assessment on the project as it's defined in key factor number 1, the clear and concise remit. See what risks are apparent and try to evaluate these and refine the risks during the process of the design evolution, and always have contingency in mind, calculated contingency to address all the risks. So key factor number 3 is the funding. So this needs to be calculated from the scope of the works by evaluation of the works, based on historical cost data, provision for inflation, and also, very importantly, calculation of cost and time risks and a suitable contingency. So in this notional example we've got here, breakdown of costs, acquisition costs, solicitors, survey fees, sales duty, land tax, planning consultants costs, architectural feasibility costs, design and construction costs. Calculate these as accurately as possible. The construction costs themselves based on the required scope of work, and the contingency, which we calculate from risk assessment. So in this case, you can see that we've calculated 150,000, which is actually more than the nominal 5 or 10% that many people allow. This is because to seek and obtain planning permission is a risk, and there may be costs incurred as a result of the time needed to do this. So what we always try to do is to ensure that the funding amount reflects the risk and the contingency as part of the overall calculations for the budget. The site must be available and accessible. It sounds obvious, but you need to have legal ownership of the site, and you need to be able to grant possession of the site to your contractor. And also that site must be accessible, so there must be a right of way to get onto the site from a public highway. If you have a contractor who you appoint and then you fail to give him full access to all or part of the site, then there could be claims result from this, and these can be quite extensive in terms of implications. And in future videos, I'll go through one or two case studies of claims that have arisen on various projects as a result of the client's failure to give full access to the site. Statutory permissions. This is usually planning permission and also building control permission. So we can talk in more detail about these in other videos, but that's the key factor 5, statutory permissions. Key factor 6, there may be special protection measures needed for services or for adjacent properties. So these could arise as a result of a party wall situation with a neighbour, and you may have to erect scaffolding and protection to protect from, for example, falling demolition debris, which needs to be controlled by your contractor, but your neighbour is entitled to protection from this sort of occurrence, and that's why you'll see fans can be erected on outside of demolition sites to ensure that there is no possibility of anyone being injured or property being harmed by debris from your construction site. And it's not only overground situations, there's also underground services which may require protection, or they may require diversion. So in these situations with neighbours, you have a Party Wall Act which ensures that your neighbour is protected from any works that you carry out on the your own property which affects their property, which you've got an interface with. And there may also be other hidden things which you need to protect against. For example, if you've got mainline railway or tube lines railways, then you may have special protection measures and works not to be carried out within a certain distance of the track or the tunnel structure, whatever you have applicable in your situation. So some situations are complex, and demolition works or diversion works may be required in advance of the main works. So this key factor number 8 is to identify those advanced or enabling works and organise them to be carried out by contractors while your design and procurement of your main works is being undertaken. And then key factor number 9, decide on the appropriate contracting strategy. So there are fundamentally 3 different approaches. There is a traditional procurement strategy where the client commissions his architect and his design team, and they progress the design. There's a tender period when bids are invited from suitably pre-qualified contractors, and then traditionally the contractor executes the work in accordance with the designs and specifications. This is a well-tried and tested approach and is covered by contracts such as JCT and NEC, and it's well proven as a method. There's an alternative approach which came in the early 1990s, which is a design and build procurement strategy where the client procures only the preliminary design and prepares a set of employer's requirements as a tender document, which specifies what he requires as the output, the product that he's looking for. Pre-qualified bidders then make their contractors' proposals, and the client decides on the basis of the proposals which of them he prefers. And there may be some negotiation because the contractor's proposals may not match exactly the employer's requirements. But substantially, once a negotiation has been concluded, there's a contract prepared on an agreed basis for moving the project forward. It is possible to do variations within this type of contract, but variations are more risky because they take longer to resolve and they can be more expensive than you would like. So essentially, it's best to make sure that your design and build package is fully defined before you tender it. And then a third approach is the construction management approach, where the client commissions a construction manager. He doesn't have a main contractor. The construction manager coordinates the designers and the contractors, and he manages the work on behalf of the client. And the trade contracts and design contracts are arranged between the respective companies, specialist companies, and the client, and they're administered by the construction manager. So essentially, you don't have a main contractor, you have a construction manager and a series of what are called trade packages or works packages. And these can be design and they can be construction, or they can in some cases be design and construction packages. So it's very important to decide on the appropriate contracting strategy for your project. So this is who we are. We're Alpus Group. We're based in the UK and also in Slovenia. We're available on WhatsApp and Skype on my mobile number, which is +44 7539 141 257. You can also contact us on 0333 224 1257. If you want to book a call with me, you can do so on calendly.com/AlanJE. And if you want a free contracts checklist, you can go to the link there and download one, which will give a summary of the fundamental types of contract that are usually used in different sort of projects and the respective advantages and disadvantages of each. That's all for now. Cheers.